An interdisciplinary lesson with Mark Tarras, Lindsay Tisch, and Rachel Wintemberg, combining art, technology, and science. How to make a planet using the iPad apps Sketchbook Pro and PS Touch. Today we're going to be making planets and then saving them to a Dropbox to be used in a later lesson on the solar system. The first thing you need to do is you need to go to your home screen and you need to find the app Sketchbook Pro. Once you've found Sketchbook Pro, you open it and you go to the very bottom. You're going to hit the plus sign and that will open up a new document, and you want the one with the highest resolution and fewest number of layers, the one with the 4 next to it. So you click that. You're going to go to the very top to the paintbrush, touch it, and that'll give you a drop-down tool menu, and you want to pick the widest brush possible. In this case, I'm doing Earth, so I'm going to pick the colors that I want for Earth and the brushes that I think will look nice to make planet Earth. So I'm going to pick a blue and then a green. And I'm just going to scribble scrabble from left to right, and then I'm going to smear them using the smudge tool. Here, I'll show you what the smudge tool looks like. That's the smudge tool. It's, you scroll down, it's like on the 4th menu for the brushes. So I pick the smudge tool, and you can fix the radius, make it wider. So here I am taking the green and the blue and smudging them together. When I'm done with that, here I'm going to just sort of add swirls. I can change the radius of the smudge tool, make thin or thick swirls. When I'm done with that, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to enlarge it so it takes up the entire page. So I need to go to the upper right hand, those 3 dots, and touch that. That'll give you a drop-down menu. Hit transform. And what I'm going to do to transform it is I'm going to click on the scale. It says scale layer. That symbol, and that gives you sort of a pin that you put in the middle, and you pull out the corner and you can enlarge it so it takes up the entire page. Now I'm going to the layer menu in the upper right hand corner, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch the layer menu and hit cut, and that cuts what I just did out of Sketchbook Pro, but don't worry, it's on a clipboard. Now I'm going to go to my main menu again, and I'm going to open up the app PS Touch, and I'm going to go to the very bottom. I'm going to hit the plus sign, and I'm going to open up a new blank project. And you hit OK, and then you're going to go to the very top, and you're going to find the pencil icon and hit touch that. It'll give you a drop-down menu, and you're going to touch the word paste. And that will paste everything you did in Sketchbook Pro into PS Touch. Then you're going to use that little round arrow icon to rotate your document, and you're going to pull out the corner to make it larger. Once it's filled up the whole page, you hit the check mark, and then you're going to go to the very top, hit that ampersand at the top, and hit warp. Now what you're going to do is you want to warp your document by pulling it in different directions to make it look rounder, more like a planet. Then you hit the check mark. You're going to go to the upper left hand corner. There should be a tool menu. You touch it and it'll drop down, and what you're going to do is you're going to pick the selection tool. If it's a box, touch the bottom right hand corner of it. There should be a little arrow, and select instead the circle selection tool. Once you have the circle selection tool, you're just going to drag your finger across the document to select a circle. You see that circle, and the nice thing is you can actually drag that circle around to make it put it in the most interesting part of your design. Go to the selection menu at the top, touch it, there'll be a drop-down menu, and you're going to hit inverse. So instead of the circle being selected, everything outside the circle is selected. Now you're going to go to the little pencil icon, and you're going to touch that, and you're going to hit cut. And that will cut away everything except your circle. Now you need to go back to the selection menu, which is right next to the pencil. You touch that. When the drop-down menu comes down, you're going to hit deselect. Now you need to add another layer, your layer for your background. So you hit the plus sign in the bottom right hand corner, and you're going to make a blank layer. Make sure that layer is now in back of, you're going to slide it down in back of your circle. Now in this layer, which is now in back of your planet layer, you're going to make a background by choosing the gradient tool. Where you find your gradient tool is in the top. If you hit that little ampersand symbol, one of the choices will be gradient in the drop-down menu. So you hit gradient, and gradient is a lot of fun. You can really play around with it. There's a lot of tools at the bottom that you can mess around with. You can take those little dots and pull them out and adjust the gradient. You can change the color from dark to light. So play around with the different tools there and have some fun with it, making it darker or lighter. Basically, you're going to play around with the gradient, make your background. When you're done, hit the blue check mark in the bottom right-hand corner. So now you're going to get off of the gradient layer and into the planet layer. So now that you're in the planet layer, you're going to hit the FX or Effects menu. And you're going to select Lighting. Once you're in the lighting, you can really play around with that too. Just make sure that the lighting of the planet corresponds to the light and dark gradient of the background, so they match up with each other. And you can just pull the little light bulb around. You can change how wide it is. You have a whole bunch of different choices here. There's different types of lighting. There's the point lighting, but there's also spot lighting, which is great if you're making a planet that's eclipsing. Here's what my finished planet looks like, so I'm ready to save it. If you go to the upper left-hand corner, you'll find a little arrow. You touch that arrow, and then you're going to click either Save or Don't Save. Touch the arrow in the upper left-hand corner, and then hit Save. Now this is going to save it to the PS Touch app. It's not going to save it to your camera roll. In order to save it to your camera roll, you're going to have to go to the top of the screen and touch the arrow shown here and then hit Save to Camera Roll. Then you're going to have to go to the document that you're saving, touch that, and a blue box will appear around it. And now you have to go to the bottom of the screen. It'll say Save to Camera Roll as a JPEG. You hit OK. So here is my planet saved to the camera roll as a JPEG. Not done yet. I've got to go back to Sketchbook Pro. When I hit that app, I should actually end up in the same document I had before. I'm going to go to my layer menu. I'm going to hit the plus sign with the flower. And I'm going to go into my photo library. I'm going to find that document. I'm going to touch it, and it'll appear in Sketchbook Pro. Now I want to add some lettering. So I'm going to touch those three dots at the top, and I'm going to select text. And that will allow me to add some lettering to my document. So I've made Planet Earth, so the words that I want to put in here are the words Earth. If I touch that letter at the bottom, I can select the text that I want. And now that I've selected the text, I can select the color that I want. And then if you hit on the keyboard those two capitalization arrows, but on both sides, it'll give you all caps. So I'm typing in the word Earth. And now I want to change the size of it so that it's larger, and I want to position it. So you're going to use the menu at the top to enlarge it and then position it. Once you have it exactly where you want it, you hit Done, and then you go to the upper left-hand corner. You're going to touch those four boxes at the top, and you're going to select Save. Now this saves it to Sketchbook Pro, but it does not save it to the Dropbox. In order to save it to the Dropbox, I'm going to have to touch the icon for the document that I just made, and I'm going to have to hit the arrow with the flower on it at the bottom of the screen, and I'm going to select Dropbox. Once you've selected Dropbox, you're going to choose to save it as a flattened document. And what you're going to do then is you need to select the orientation, so make sure it's facing right side up. And then you're going to have to name the document. You're going to name it with your team number, your last name, your first name, and the name of the planet. And then you hit Export. And that is how you create a planet using PS Touch and Sketchbook Pro.